In the quiet hours of February 20th, 2015, a frantic phone call shattered the calm of Rosie Wohlford's life. Her daughter, Samantha, was on the line, her voice trembling with fear. She said there were intruders and apparently they had kidnapped him. I finally managed to hear her say, "I'm tied up, and now I'm really freaking out. I've never been so scared in my life." Since she was 2 counties away and it would take time to reach her daughter, Rosie contacted her sister, Ginger Kesterson, who only lived a few minutes away from Samantha, and rushed to the scene of the crime. Upon arrival, she found Samantha, Rosie's daughter, in a horrifying state, bound and gagged, helpless and scared. She immediately called 911 as she helped her niece. "It was the most terrifying sight I had ever seen. My baby girl in such a vulnerable position. It's something no mother should ever have to witness." The events of that day would leave a lasting impact on Rosie and her family. Samantha Wohlford's desperate call set off a chain of events that would change lives forever. Join us as we delve into the shocking events that unfolded that fateful night. What starts as a seemingly ordinary kidnapping soon unravels into a nightmare of unthinkable proportions. As the investigation deepened, the truth revealed itself in a shocking twist. The orchestrator of this horror was none other than the victim herself. Uncover the layers of deception, manipulation, and betrayal that led to this tragic event, and explore the aftermath that continues to ripple through the lives of all involved. If you find this story as intriguing as we do, hit that subscribe button and join our community. Let's uncover the darkest secrets together.
Hey guys, I'm recording this laying in bed. I'm exhausted. It's been a long freaking day.
In the quiet corners of small-town America, lives unfold. Sometimes ordinary, sometimes extraordinary. Samantha Wohlford's story falls on the extraordinary and is a haunting blend of love, betrayal, and desperation. Samantha was born on August 28th in 1981. Her parents, Rosie and James Wohlford, worked tirelessly to provide for their family. Rosie, a resilient woman with a heart of gold, instilled in Samantha a sense of determination and loyalty. As the middle child of 3 siblings, Samantha navigated the delicate balance between being the peacemaker and the dreamer. Her bond with her younger brother Michael was unbreakable, a lifeline in the stormy sea of adolescence. It was during her junior year of high school that Samantha met her first boyfriend. His rugged charm and mischievous smile captured her heart. They became inseparable, their love blossoming like wildflowers along the riverbank. But fate had other plans. Samantha's life took an unexpected turn during her late teenage years when she got pregnant. At 19, she had a pair of twins, but her then boyfriend abandoned them, leaving Samantha to raise the children alone. Samantha met Ernie Ibarra during a time when life was uncertain. She was a single mom of 2 18-month-old twins. Their paths crossed in a local tattoo shop, where Ernie's personality intrigued her. He was a man of few words, but his eyes held something that drew Samantha in. Their love bloomed against the odds, but it wasn't a fairy tale romance. In 2011, Samantha found herself pregnant once more, another set of twins. Ethan and Emily joined their growing family, and Ernie juggled 2 daily jobs to keep them afloat. During the day, he would be running bat manufacturing machines for D-Bat, and at night, he would be slinging pizza at the local Little Caesars Pizza. Ernie's dedication to providing for his family of 7 was unwavering, but the strain took its toll. Bills piled up, and the weight of responsibility pressed down on his shoulders, which left him drained and distant. Samantha, at home with the children, felt the absence of tenderness. The romance that once danced between them, now a distant memory. But Samantha had dreams beyond motherhood. Those who knew Samantha whispered that she yearned for fame, her heart set on the spotlight. An actress, perhaps. An escape from the mundane. A dream she finally achieved when she was actually cast in a 2011 Humans vs. Zombies movie. Believing it would generate extra income, she started a YouTube channel called Simply Manic. Her videos became a window into her world, discussing passions, personal struggles, and the challenges of being a young mother of 5. But dreams collided with reality. Abigail, Ernie's sister, noticed the shift. She felt like this was going somewhere, Abigail revealed. She kind of started paying less attention to her kids and acted like her so-called job was more important than that. Samantha yearned for internet fame, but Ernie didn't share her enthusiasm. By 2012, Samantha's subscriber count remained stagnant. Barely hitting 100 views per post, she shifted gears. Political discussions, graphics, and guest appearances became her new strategy. But even that didn't lift her channel from obscurity, and their financial woes persisted. Then, in 2013, fate dealt another blow. An accident at Walmart. A baby-changing table falling on Samantha left her depressed and on bed rest. She confided in her few YouTube listeners, revealing her pregnancy. Ernie had moved out by then, but he returned, for the sake of the kids. The strain on their relationship grew, and the cracks widened. Ernie's exhaustion turned to frustration, and Samantha's dissatisfaction festered. 5 children, a family of 7, depended on them, and the weight threatened to crush them both.
Not gonna light a cigarette?
Oh yeah, I forgot about him.
Because you got that iPad in your hand.
Ernie Ibarra, known as a shy boy, had a heart that beat for others. His kindness extended beyond the pizza shop where he worked, where Mama Sandy, the manager, had much to say about him. As young as he was, Ernie had maturity. He had a heart for kids angry at the world. One Christmas, when a coworker's home life fell apart, Ernie stepped in. A bicycle for the youngest, a cell phone for another, and the third daughter, she wanted to learn to draw. Ernie spent $100 on a sketch set he probably couldn't afford. But within the walls of their home, cracks appeared. Ernie's all-consuming gaming habits strained their relationship. His online avatar married another player's character, a virtual betrayal that echoed in their real lives. To make amends, Ernie agreed to marry Samantha in 2014. But the marriage wouldn't last long. 5 children, a family of 7, the responsibilities weighed heavily on them. And beneath the surface, darker currents flowed, threatening to tear them apart. Incidents of abuse marred their days. The summer before, Miss Wohlford called the authorities, accusing Mr. Ibarra of abuse. Samantha, desperate for safety, obtained a restraining order against Ernie. She sought refuge from the storm that raged within their home. And then, a calculated move. Samantha asked Ernie to come back, seemingly willing to reconcile. But while he was in the shower, she turned him over to the authorities for violating the restraining order. Was it a desperate act? Or perhaps a calculated move to ensure his imprisonment? Their marriage teetered on the edge. The tenderness they once shared was replaced by fear and manipulation. As they grappled with their troubled past and uncertain future, the question remained: could they find a way back to each other, or were they destined to remain trapped in this cycle of pain?
Min, really? How stupid are you?
At this point, Ernie and Samantha's marriage had reached a breaking point. Samantha was desperate for a way out, which came in the form of Jonathan Sanford, the boyfriend of one of her friends, Charlotte Kemp. Sanford's girlfriend was pregnant, and on Valentine's Day, he had taken her to the hospital to give birth. On hearing the news, Samantha decided to visit her, and this is where she met Sanford. Sanford was 7 months out of prison for molesting his cousin and was at the moment living in between places. While at the hospital, she confided in him about Ernie's alleged abuse. Sanford, with a chilling calmness, told her he could take Ibarra out of the picture. Sanford recruited Jose Pons, his brother-in-law, and Octavius Lamar Rhymes, a former military who lived in a nearby town called Pittsburgh. Their original intention was to plant methamphetamine in Ernie's truck, setting him up for a drug bust. But as the night unfolded, murder seemed easier. According to Sanford, the idea of killing Ibarra was first mentioned during a smoke break in the hospital's parking lot while they were discussing how they were going to set Ernie up. During the 5 days that Sanford and Samantha had known each other, they had become very close. Sanford had been to Samantha's home a few times and had even been left with her kids a few times. She even gave Sanford her car to run errands, but Sanford claims he was given the car as part of their kidnapping plan. Sanford met Ernie once during his visits and was introduced as the boyfriend of Samantha's friend. They talked briefly, Sanford explaining he had come out of prison some 7 months ago. And Ernie told him he was in a rush to go for his night job. On the night of February 19th, Sanford, Rhymes, Samantha, and her children all got into Samantha's Chevy Equinox. Their destination? Rhymes' cousin, the source of methamphetamine. After purchasing the drugs, murder was still an ongoing topic as they made their way to Rhymes' home in Pittsburgh, where Pons was making enchiladas. While talking to Samantha, the decision was made. I asked her what she thought about it if her husband did die, Sanford testified. She asked me if I was serious about it. I said, all you have to do is leave your front door unlocked. With a plan in action, Sanford and his accomplices drove Samantha and her children back to their home at around 10 p.m. Earlier that night, Ernie had passed by Little Caesars just after 9, looking for Samantha and their children. She was not returning any of his texts, and he was concerned. Walmart security footage later showed they'd been shopping. buying homemade enchilada makings with Sanford and his other accomplices. Since he could not find his family, Ernie decided to go back home as Sanford and his crew drove to Pittsburgh to deliver enchiladas to Sanford's girlfriend at the hospital. After delivering the enchiladas, they drove to Samantha's home at around 1 a.m., where they found the front door unlocked, just as they had planned. While driving to Samantha's house, Sanford, Rhymes, and Pons smoked the meth they had initially planned to plant on Ibarra's car. The initial plan involved staging a break-in and kidnapping Ernie. But since they were drugged up, they just entered the house and headed for Samantha's bedroom. Ernie and Samantha were sleeping in their bedroom when Ernie was dragged out of bed. Their faces obscured by masks, they attacked Ernie mercilessly. Samantha, too, was pulled from the bed, her hands bound, forced to witness the brutal assaults on her husband. At one point, Samantha told the police the intruders were asking Ernie why he could not appreciate having a beautiful wife like Samantha. After an hour of being assaulted, Ernie was semi-consciously loaded to the car. Before they left, Sanford decided to go back in for some cigarettes and discovered the first signs that their plan had not gone as well as they had thought. According to their plan, Samantha was to call for help from her mother 2 counties away to give her accomplices time to escape. However, her mother decided to call her sister, Samantha's aunt, who was only minutes away. The aunt promptly contacted the sheriff's office, setting the investigation in motion. As Sanford left, he considered kicking in the door to lend credibility to the forced entry story. Detective Bragg noted that the lock hadn't been broken when the door was smashed. Samantha, once an actress with bit parts in low-budget zombie movies, had convinced the killer she could spin a convincing account for the police. After beating Ernie, they drove him to the remote Sandy Crossing in neighboring Camp County, Texas. There, Pons shot him in the back of the head. The woods bore witness to the execution. Ernie's life extinguished by those who had once been his wife's confidants.
I guess I'll talk to you guys later. I love you guys. Thanks for all the support. All right, bye.
After receiving the call from Samantha's aunt, officers from the Titus County Sheriff's Department swiftly made it to the scene and started their investigations. While home invasions aren't that rare, the baffling kidnapping of Ernest Lee Ibarra Jr. had law enforcement scratching their heads as they faced a puzzle with missing pieces. Samantha's account seemed not to match up. Samantha's tearful descriptions of 3 masked intruders abducting Ernie didn't add up. The lack of valuables taken from the home raised suspicions. Additionally, all the 5 children slept through the entire thing and their rooms were not disturbed. It was like the invaders knew exactly which room to go to. Former Titus County Sheriff's first responder Chris Durant also revealed a crucial detail. There was some blood on the wall which probably happened during a scuffle. However, Ernie was allegedly hit with a pistol during the assault, so the police expected a much bloodier scene.
I'm not really seeing a whole lot of blood, though, for somebody that was pistol whipped.
While still at the residence, Samantha mentioned that the attackers had taken Ernie's phone and it was probably still with him. With this information, the police initiated an emergency ping to try and track the phone's location. At around 3:20 a.m., a ping emerged from nearby Pittsburgh, Texas, which was also where Rhymes had a house. But they couldn't locate him. The signal vanished into the night. The urgency grew. Ernie's fate hung in the balance. While the search for Ernie was on, investigators started to talk with Samantha for any leads. Her description of the attackers was quite vague, claiming they were wearing masks that covered their entire faces and baggy black clothes.
Didn't recognize anything about...
They had black masks on, black shirts, black pants. Every inch of skin was covered.
The police were unsatisfied with her answers, and as part of protocol for these kinds of things, they decided to take her back to the station for further questioning. At the station, detectives started pressing Samantha. How was she able to call her mother while still bound and gagged? She insisted she used her face to make the call. But if she could use her face, why didn't she call 911? Samantha replied that her mother's number was the first thing on her call list. But beneath her words lay a web of secrets, and investigators sensed it.
My mother was the first number on my call list. I just used my face. And
so instead of calling 911 for help, you called your mother?
How do you press 911 with your face?
Well, how did you dial your mother with your face?
I didn't dial my mother. I just pushed the first thing that was on there. It had just happened to be my mom.
During questioning, detectives found the restraining order Samantha had placed on Ernie and asked about it. Domestic problems, she claimed, were a thing of the past. She painted a rosy picture of their relationship, but as recent as their last child, Ernie's mother claims Samantha told anyone that would listen that Ernie was abusing her. Despite bragging to Sanford that she was an actress and would be able to convince the police of anything, things weren't going too good for her in the interrogation room. Detectives probed further until her story wavered, and she mentioned Johnny Rebel, which was Sanford's Facebook name. At the time, Sanford and Pons were at the hospital, and he had just texted Samantha while still there. Titus County Sheriff Tim Ingram and 2 deputies raced there and found the two as they were going for breakfast. As soon as they were arrested, the sheriff separated them and he immediately told Sanford that Samantha had given him up. Before they reached the parking lot, Sanford was already talking, placing Samantha as a mastermind behind the whole thing. As Sanford spilled everything, he confessed that Samantha texted them when they started tracking Ernie's phone. The detectives relayed this information to the interrogation room, and one of the officers confronted Samantha and checked her phone. Suspiciously, her calls and text records had been erased. Determined, they got in touch with her phone's network carrier and were able to connect her to the 3 men she had implicated, as well as the deleted text and phone records. Samantha had messaged Rhymes while police traced Ernie's phone and was actively trying to help them evade authorities. To talk to Rhymes, Samantha had asked the officer present if she could text her mom. Instead of talking to her mom, Samantha sent 2 texts to Rhymes, and her words were chilling. Kill Ernie's phone. Shut that thing down. Ditch phone. Move. The evidence mounted against her, and it placed her as the mastermind behind the whole thing. Sanford took the sheriff and his detectives to the edge of a wooded bayou on the southeast edge of Camp County with an undergrowth bristling with briars, where they found Ernie's body.
Okay, what we need to do now? Oh yeah, he's dead. He's not gonna be alive.
Detectives claimed they were lucky to find the body that fast because in a few days the rain would arrive, and all that area would have been covered up with water. Detectives also found that Samantha had withheld crucial information. The suspects were driving her own Chevy Equinox. Hours into the investigation, she finally revealed this detail. The car that had transported Ernie to his fate was hers. A damning connection. According to detectives, if Samantha had come clean when the first officers arrived, Ernie would have still been alive. Beaten, taunted, and pistol-whipped, by then Ernie Ibarra was being driven through Pittsburgh by his kidnappers. Though Samantha had been released briefly, with all the evidence they had collected against her, she was arrested the following Monday. Her role in Ernie's tragic end laid bare.
Hey guys, I'm just kind of posting a vlog about what's been going on with me, why I have totally abandoned my YouTube channel.
As the gavel fell, sealing Samantha Wohlford's fate, the weight of her crimes bore down upon her, marking the beginning of a long journey through the justice system. Samantha's fate took a dark turn during the legal proceedings because she had 2 trials. She was first convicted of aggravated kidnapping, a crime that she tried defending herself against by claiming she wasn't aware of any text between her and Rhymes. She even went further and claimed she had been prescribed Ambien, a drug for insomnia, and that night she had taken some, so she couldn't remember ever sending the texts. The jury didn't believe any of her story, and they convicted her to 50 years behind bars for aggravated kidnapping. Her role in Ernie's abduction and the subsequent events weighed heavily on her sentence. But justice was not yet satisfied. In a second trial for the murder of her husband, Ernest Lee Ibarra, Samantha faced a new round of legal proceedings, each moment a step closer to accountability. As the court showed police cam footage and the messages she sent as the police were still responding to the initial dispatch call, the jury rendered their verdict: guilty of murder. Samantha's eyes widened as the judge announced her additional sentence: 99 years. Samantha tried to appeal the sentence, but it was unsuccessful. As for her accomplices, both Sanford and Pons pled guilty to aggravated kidnapping and murder of Ernest Ibarra. They were each sentenced to 50 years in prison for both offenses, running concurrently. Neither of them will be eligible for parole until they have served at least half of their sentences. Rhymes was first convicted for aggravated kidnapping and was sentenced to 23 years in prison in June 2016. Later, in December, he was convicted for murder and sentenced to 75 years in prison, to be served consecutively with his sentence for kidnapping. He was also fined $10,000.
I love you guys. Peace be with you.
Samantha Nicole Wohlford, once an aspiring YouTuber dreaming of fame, now resides in a very different reality. She is currently serving her sentence in the Murray Unit, a Texas Department of Criminal Justice prison. Samantha's choices, fueled by narcissism and desperation, left a trail of devastation. She craved fame, maintaining her own YouTube channel and dreaming of becoming an actress. Her pursuit of internet fame led her to pay less attention to her 5 children, prioritizing her online persona over her family. Samantha and Ernie fought over his all-consuming gaming habits, which strained their relationship. Ultimately, her desire for notoriety led her to conspire with 3 men to kidnap and murder Ernie, forever altering their lives.